Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Workshop. That's right, it's another little short film, Totally Awesome Fishing Tips. Now then, for all you beach guys out there and boat anglers using lead weights, there is nothing more infuriating than casting out, and if there's a strong wind or a strong tide or a strong current, it bump, your lead's moving all the time, and you want to get that lead in one place because that's where you know the fish are. It can be frustrating to say the least. Now what you need for that is a grip lead. It can be a fixed wire, or it can be what we call a breakaway lead, which is the wires break away from the lead. Anyway, I thought I'd just show you a quick one of a mould that I use. Not selling the mould, as you know we don't sell the moulds, which we did, but we don't. Anyway, this is what I used to use, was just an ordinary bomb lead. And years ago I used to drill right through there, slide my wire through, a single piece of it's about 18 standard gauge SWG wire, and then bend it into shape with little angles off it like that, if you can just see those. Okay, this is just a sort of scrap one I'm using to show you. And then what I did was, well, we all did it, this was the way we made leads years ago. You take a half hitch around a small rubber band, put it over one of those legs, wind it around tight so it's hanging, c'est le voila. You didn't know I could speak Lithuanian, did you? Okay, turn it round like this, and the wires, as you can see, are going to be pulling into the sand. But to hold those wires in place, we just used a half hitch, round and around and around, not really half hitch, just circle them over the top like that, and you could bend the wires to whatever angle you want. So it would come along the sand, you would cast out, boat or beach, didn't make any difference. This is where I did a lot of cod fishing from the shore at night during the winter. And it would dig in the sand, that would anchor your bait just where you want it. And then when you wanted to wind in, you pulled hard, as you can see, those wires fold back, the rubber band simply slides off, and you can use it again. Okay, things have moved on a pace since 45 years ago. Now with lead melting, there is always a degree of danger, a high degree. A lot of common sense obviously is involved. So what you should do, get yourself a pair of goggles, safety goggles. I can't wear them because I wear glasses. If I put safety goggles on, I see next to nothing. You can also get yourself a breathing mask, okay? You can put one on like that. I can't wear them because when I put my glasses on and my breathing mask over the top, the air comes up, steams all my glasses up, and I see nothing. That's even more dangerous than wearing the mask. In fact, the mask to me is a hazard. That's me personally. If you don't wear glasses, you might be okay. Nice pair of leather gloves, because everything is hot, okay? Do it in the open air. If you can, not raining, no moisture at all involved with lead making. Absolutely none. Right, hopefully that's the safety aspect covered. Here we go then. Let me show you these two moulds. These are made by DCA moulds. One's called, I have to look at the piece of paper, and it's so long, I don't know what the paper is. One's called a Gripaway, that's Gripaway, I can even spell. Flighted mould, 150 grams. The other one is in old school Aquazoom Gripaway mould, size 5 ounces. Yes, English, ounces. Okay, so a couple of there that are ideal for uptiding and also for general beach work. Let me show you what they look like. Okay, now let's pull this one apart. You'll be able to see it a little bit easier. Been playing with it already. These are the moulds which you can buy. If you ever check around on the internet, I'm sure there's a variety of different companies making lead moulds. But this one, you can see the shape of the lead is there, and this is called a flighted one. It has a sort of tail to it there. Helps it stabilise when you're casting through the air. This needs to be clean. All needs to be nice and clean in there. And we're going to preheat these. Otherwise, the first pour you do in, which you can see, it goes in through the pour hole here and fills up the chamber inside. Obviously, it's like this, so you know, like that's locked together. The first pour will go through there, hit the cold, and just bosh, solid halfway, so you'll get, you know, a half a lead, a piece of lead, something in there. I preheat mine on the gas burner next to the one where I'm melting the lead. But you can do 2 or 3 pours to get it heated up. It's a sort of slow way of doing it. So here you go, here's a flighted mould. You put it together like that. Now, obviously, it could pour in and be dangerous to fall apart. So get yourself either a pair of pliers, mould grips, or a proper clamp like this. You clamp in here, it holds it. Oh, let me just tell you as well, that's where the loop goes, which is going to be the end of where you tie your fishing line to, like that. all will become apparent in a minute. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to take some of these. I'm going to take one actually, Graeme, while you're talking about some of these. I'm just going to show the folks back home. These are what goes inside the lead weight, and it's sealed up and melted, and it's got a little kink sort of tag end on there. So when you're casting, if you just had a piece of straight wire, it could just fly straight out, and you don't want that, do you? The high speed lead, high velocity leads from fishing weights are not good news when it comes to the human head or glass windows or cars. So that kink in there is to help lock it in position, and that's where you tie your fishing line. So what we do is we place the loop right in there. You see that? We then put the other half in there. So now you should be able to see that's where the wire's coming out, and this is where we're going to be pouring the lead, and it's going to be clamped like this on the ground. But this also has to put the wires, like I showed you in the old-fashioned lead, to get these, let me show you. To get these wires like that, you obviously get, when you buy a kit, you get a pack of different wires like this, the right gauge. But what these also give you is a couple of, let's call them pilot holes, pilot wires these are, just like this. And what they say do is give them a little squirt of oil, take it away from the camera lens, just like this. It stops them sticking to the lead, and those go in position, and they retain the hole that you're going to actually put the wire through. So they just slide through like that. And from the bottom I'm putting these, he says, hopefully not putting it through his finger. So it's going to be laying like this on the ground, on safe, on concrete, no moisture, no wet sand, no wet grass, no water whatsoever, no moisture. It's got to be dry. I'm doing it just on the outside by the entrance of my garage door, and I'm going to pour in there. Okay, this one sort of idiot proof really, and it's exactly the same principle. There's the pouring hole. Let me pour it there. There's the pouring cone where it fills up. That's the actual hollow cavity of the lead, but it doesn't have the flighted effect. It just has a plain bomb shape there. It still locks together, it will still clamp, same eyelet, and the same wires through these two little holes there that you line up for your pilot wires. Right, that's the basics of it. This one has got to be preheated, and then we're going to try and do a pour with it. In fact, what I do is I'm going to do 2 or 3 moulds, because any lead left over while it's still hot, I want to try and nail at least 2 or 3 leads out of the one pour. Okay, here you can see my setup. Down here I've got the gas on, preheating these 2 moulds here, already with the wires in, and over here I've got the pot on the boil for the lead melt, which I'm running down some old water pipe and gas pipe that I've had left over. Once that's melted down, these will be plenty hot enough, and I could get lucky and get a strike, what they call a strike on these 2, get a perfect mould first pour out. Okay guys, we're all set. Here we go with the pour. Let's see if this one will take. Do it very slowly, but try and concentrate it over that hole, just so that the lead, the heat of the lead melts it, and you'll see it's very, very shiny here, and that will soon go off. That's still molten. Probably if I move it out, it's tapped already, that's gone off. But I've also got, I move this one carefully to one side, on preheat here, a double mould of spares. These are just rare, so if I've got some lead left over, hopefully I'm going to get a take on these as well from the same pour, because it's had a preheated mould. That one might be a little short. Just let that set for a second. And then here I've had, now that's just gone off now, I'm just going to move that slowly, and here you'll see hopefully another take. If it's hot enough it will take, if it's not it won't. That should be hot enough. There we go. Now we're going to let those cool off, and fingers crossed we should have a take on at least these 2 with the wires. That's one I want to show you. But here I've got a surplus. I did actually want some plain bomb leads as well, so if you've got 2 or 3 moulds, that one pour which I've got here, you can see there's actually some still left in there. I didn't want to waste it once you've taken the trouble and the expense of the gas to melt it down. I've tried to get 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the one pour. Now these moulds are very hot, this is why I've got the leather gloves. But what I'm going to do is just release the spring here, but first take out these wires, you can just see these wires there. Best to do it there, and they just slide straight out. So they're like the pilot wires. Turn him over, get the other one out there. I can do it with the gloves actually. Now, fingers crossed guys. What do you think? Are we going to get a take? Come on. There we go. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And this one, I'm going to release that one. Are we going to get a take? Absolutely perfecto. They're still very, very hot. I'm just going to bring that one up to the lens to show you. And then what we do is we snip off that surplus and you can melt it again. Now here we go. That's the flighted one. You can see the vein which keeps it a straight flight through the air. And there again, the cone where the pour hole is, I'm going to snip that off, reuse that again. There's a couple of leads here, but give them a good time. Do not drop them into water. Just let them cool off on their own. And they'll take maybe 15-20 minutes sometimes. Okay, now I've had a little session of lead melting, and here, as you can see, it's one of the most beautiful sights any sea fisherman can see. Look at that. Like little aeroplanes, you think, yeah, I love them. But you know why I love them? Because they're all shiny and new, and they're free. Well, let's face it guys, they're not really free because I've had to put the gas on to cook them with. Anyway, there we have two types of grip leads. Now, let me just pull this back a little touch here, like there. I'll try to show you how to put these wires on. It comes with the wires here, and it also comes with these, they're sort of like little locking sleeves, I'm going to call them, locking sleeves. But I'll show you my hand because they're yellow and I've got a yellow background. Right, this is what you do. You take these pre-cut lengths of wire, you thread them. Don't forget, we've already removed the bar that we had in there, the sort of pilot hole wires. We're going to put these through the hole just like that. Hope you can see that. Hope you can see that like this. Now they give you, with this particular mould kit, these, I suppose you call them bending wires, and you slide these down. Just measure them equidistant just to make sure you've got it in the middle. You can always cut the wires short if you want. That's what I normally do. Right, you've got these bending plates and they're pre-measured to there. So you slide into the neck where it joins the neck of the bomb there. It's a lead bomb, not a real bomb obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be playing with it. And then you bend it forwards. So it's like a pre-measuring device, that's what I'm going to call it. Bend it up like that, turn it around. Just measure from here. You can't go wrong, look, to the base, hold that dead straight so it's dead straight there. Bang. Okay, now there you can see what I've got there. Both wires. Then you pop on these sleeves, which are like the locking sleeves, the yellow locking sleeves. 1, 2. They go down right into the join where that angle is, where it goes through the lead nose. Then you take, I'll just show you those two different sizes. The short one, put the short one on the end there, and just put your thumb there. That's what I do to support it. My thumb there, and I'm going to bend it back outwards like this. Turn it around. I'm hoping you can see this okay. And the end of this wire here goes right up against there, which is just about clear of your thumb. I bend that one around like this, about like there. I slot my other wire through, which is obviously 90 degrees to everything else. Take the long measuring, I don't know what you call this, like a measuring tool really. Make sure it's nice and straight like that. Bend it up there. Take it around. Bend it up there. Those two are asymmetric, you can see. I put on the nylon caps, sleeves, whatever you want to call them. Just rest them. Then I take the small one, put it over the top of the wire, and then bend that wire back. Get this way. You don't have to use these sleeves, you can do it by hand, but they come with it, so I'm using it. Now what happens now is you can pinch these nice and tight, and hopefully you can see that. Get this piece of wire. Just in there is a channel. You can see that just there. There's a channel there. So as you turn the wire around, this nylon sleeve just locks into that channel. Hopefully you can see that just there. It just pops in the channel. Actually want squeezing a little bit tighter. Now just watch that yellow sleeve, and there's a tiny depression there. Pop. That's it. Round the other side, bend it, pop. Squeeze them tight. There we go. Bend it, pop. Now you've got there a grip lead, but you can alter the angle on it by bending these wires in even more, and that to me looks just about right. Should one of those pieces of wire look a little bit long, easy enough to trim them off. And of course there, these have got a slightly longer tail wire. You can get the short tail wire ones here, just say for regular boat fishing, or you can make a longer tail for beach fishing, and the reason for that is it increases stability. So there we have it, and when you get that snagged in the seabed like this, when you pull it, it gets caught in the sand, bang, it pulls loose, and all these wires can then come in, and then you bait up again, reset the wires, and there your grapnel or grip lead is ready for using again. Same principle with these veined ones, you know, which give you a better, more accurate flight through the air. I'll just do one, and then you can see that's another totally awesome fishing tip. But there you go guys, plain and veined grip leads, ideal for beach or boat. Thanks for watching. It's another totally awesome fishing tip.